folks, welcome to this exciting video where you join us today in the Highland village of Braemar, and today we're joined by Highlander 87 for this one. And yeah, we're basically in this village to explore and document an old castle, which is super cool, and we've never seen it before on the channel. When you think of Braemar, you may think Braemar Castle, but it turns out there's actually remains of an older castle out here. So yeah, let's go in and see the action. So check it out, folks, here is Braemar. This is the sign. Look, this is where it is on the map. This gives you an idea of the landscape here, the land. Look, Balmoral and stuff's no far from here, which is like royal lands. That's where obviously the King and the Queen of Scotland have often hung out over the years. Glen Shee, look, Spittal of Glen Shee, Mount Blair and Glen Isla that we often see on the videos. It's all here. Gives you an idea of the lie of the land here. So the castle in today's adventure is actually called Kindrochit Castle. So here there was actually an original castle, folks, with a wooden bridge spanning the Cluny. It was built on the site by Scottish King Malcolm Canmore in 1057 to 1093. The stone ruins are the remains of two castles which were subsequently built here, the first sometime before the reign of King Robert XI of Scotland, 1317 to 1390, and the subsequent tower built for Sir Malcolm Drummond under the charter granted to him in 1390 by his brother-in-law King Robert the Third. Oh, is that what that is? Yeah. So is that the second? Yeah. It's the way they've written it. Look at that, folks. Aye, so King Robert the Second, and then down at the bottom King Robert the Third.
It's across from Castle and Hall. So
yeah, we're literally like here somewhere just now.
Yeah, the 5
So let's get into action, folks, and document this castle dating back from such ancient times. The site of two castles, so let's see what's left. So check it out, folks, here is the castles, and they're actually within the lands of Braemar here. We had no idea. We explored this village last year. Look, Kindrochit Castle. The entrance is up this way. Look at that, the remains of the walls. And think of the history, it's literally so long ago. Thousands of years, and that's why it's cool to document it. It's not like some of the castles we video feel like the 1500s and stuff like that. This was literally 200 years even before that. So it's really interesting over the years to see the castles from all different time periods and the different ways they were built. Sometimes in Scotland there's less castles left now than obviously, like, some of them were demolished at the time of like attack or invasion, and that's why you get big chunks of stone like this sitting. Wow, what a scene. We'll let it go in here, look.
See, there's a river on both sides, eh?
Yeah, look, this is how it would have looked, folks. Check it out. The castle's been prominent here. Defended for that as well, aye. The river and the water goes all the way around, and then there's been an outer perimeter. That's how it would have looked in the 15th century. And wow, that shows the historical age of this town or village here as well. In the lower kind of Highlands of Scotland. The lower Highlands, is that even a thing, folks? Yeah, let's go in and have a look. Look, we've got the local police force here. This must be the wee station. Wow, what a scene of Scotland. This is one of the coolest things I've seen for ages. It's amazing we didn't even know about this, and shout out Highlander actually spotted it when he was looking at other things in the area. That's so cool. Wow, it's unusual to see. Look at the shape of this. This wall looks different to obviously like this one. You can kind of see a clear construction with this one. Look how thick the walls are. They are like 12 foot thick, or maybe no quite, 10 foot thick I would say. The rooms have been massive. It's cool to see the Scotland flags flying up here. Yeah, look, through the walls there's little openings or vents of some sort. Let's take a look. And yeah, the walls have been thick, but also there's been little passageways through. Imagine the door here at a certain time. Often with the older castles, the doorway was actually a little bit higher up, so it was harder to invade. Because so many hundreds of years have passed, often things can be changed and adapted as well. And it changes how the original history may have looked. Yeah, that's an interesting area in there, eh?
Yeah. No way, clear way in.
Super narrow little area. Now look at this, even here, it might have been the remains of where there's been like a castle window or whatever. Look at that, the wee opening going into the wall. It's like a chamber. That is super interesting. And then these bits here as well. Just think, folks, this is some crazy remains of a castle. Sometimes they would have had holes in the wall and it would have had something over it and it was a safe place within the castle to hide things. Other times they would have somewhere to put a lantern or like some kind of lamp. And look, they've literally strapped the stones down here to the ground. But there's like so many hundreds of castles in Scotland that I've visited myself, and there's nothing like this going on. You wouldn't think it would be necessary for them to bolt the stones down to the ground like that. Surely nobody's like carted that off, eh? Look at that as well, eh? That'll be maybe some of the original stones that they would have walked over. Because that's big chunks in the original doorway. Wow, there's so many other little rooms and buildings, and just think how that looked on the original picture out there.
There might have been the prison.
Oh, aye. Highlanders saying this here may have been the prison, according to the sign.
That's the wine cellar, this is the larder.
Oh, aye.
And that's the prison.
Yeah, so that's the wine cellar there, the larder, and then the prison, and that's these three rooms that we've just looked at.
Look out for, hidden within the thickness of the north prison wall, hides a
Vertical flue.
Thought to be a guard room or a toilet.
Oh, aye. That could be that hole that I saw in the wall here, eh? Yeah, that one there as well. Makes you wonder if it was a toilet though, when... No, unless they flooded the main passageway with like sewage. Because that's, if that was the original entrance, both those pipes come out there. But like, you would only do that at the time of an invasion. Yeah. So the folk would be having to slip around and walk through it. Yeah, look, that's a mad bit there, but we'll have a quick look at this corner first. Oh, this just basically leads round. It's right next to like a restaurant or a hotel. So we'll just punch into this main castle complex once again. Yeah, this is super cool. There's all these little bits. This must be maybe the thing they were saying. Oh, let's stick the camera in. Check it out, folks. Wow. What a mad scene. I had to record it. It goes up and there's a grate on the top.
That must be, the toilet then.
Oh, and they would have cleaned it out. So those other flues were for something else that we saw. Maybe heating or something, even warm air maybe went through. Yeah, look at this. There's a main pathway leading up, and that's the thick outer wall which leads down this side. And look, you get a real aspect of how thick the wall is when you see this. Look at that, folks, that's incredible. And defenders of the castle would be laying right up in there, firing out an incoming attack and invasion. And it's mad to think over the years how, like, there's actually space there that could stand up, or they could be more upright. And then maybe at certain times we'd have to duck down and fire out of the hole. That's interesting to see that. It's made to be like quite a rough stone, but it's obviously been repointed. A lot of this is maintenance, keeping it in a decent condition, because it is such a crazy little historical nugget. It's interesting to see. And look at this, this would have maybe been like one of the main rooms here in the castle, eh? Yeah. Wow, what a scene. There would have been another floor up above us. And then, yeah, maybe even kitchens and things would have been places as well, eh? I wonder if that's ever been theorised there. Like, I wonder where they think the kitchens have been. Does it tell us anything here? It's like old maps or something, the courtyard. It's hard to read, it's quite squiggly. That was the room we were in a minute ago. But like, there is a big site in a big area. But it is cool on the videos to come to these areas, and every week it's like a different location we've never been. Seeing things we've never seen. That seagull's flying over our heads. He's probably hoping that we gave him a crisp or whatever. But that's it, Kindrochit Castle. They drew that up in 1925 and documented what was there at that time. Maybe since then, more of it's disappeared, or maybe even as they've maintained it and upkept it, it changes as well. No longer becomes such an abandoned, crazy scene. Yeah, it's interesting to think, and it was cool to see it on the original sign. Get an idea of it. It's got loads of mad wee individual corner rooms as well. Yeah, it's like the wall's been busted and demolished at a certain time. Yeah, they've kind of made it so it's the public path's just so close. It's just right in the middle of the town here. It's quite a busy tourist town. That's why it's amazing the castle has stood on such a prime piece of land for so many years. Check it out, folks, we've got a crow chilling. He's so friendly. We're now around the other side of the castle here, folks. Look at this, what's this? The Kindrochit brooch. 15th century. It's a representation of it, a gilt brooch. It was found in the excavations here in the 1920s, folks. That's quite interesting. The actual size is 88mm. Look at this is the outside of the castle defences, folks, and look how thick the wall is. That's the firing position here, which we saw the other side of in the castle, which is so cool. It's amazing to think how big and tall these walls were originally. And look at this, there's another higher up position, and probably overall with the castle for the original times they would have had so many defensive positions all over it, which is interesting to think of and to theorise. A lot of the times it wasn't really built for looking good, it was built for actual defence. It was a strategic position on the land, but they did have obviously a wee bit for agriculture out with the castle grounds. Often they actually had a well inside the castle to get fresh water.
No other signs of what it could be.
Yeah.
It's just a big square.
That bit there.
They're just right in there.
Oh aye.
It's just a square.
So that's been another castle documented on the channel, folks, and this is what I say about it being like every castle's in different conditions for different time periods, and sometimes because of the piece of land that they're set within. Yeah, there is a well over there, but normally they would have one within the castle grounds. That would have been a local well probably for the locals, but you would think it must have been pretty much river water. Often it was filtered through the rock to an area like that near the river. But yeah, it's interesting. We've got, I think that's the Fife Arms at the far side. Yeah, these castles from different time periods, you can see there's less left of this one, and probably even less left of the one from the even more ancient time on this site, because this one's really touristy, or in the heartland of the tourist places of Scotland. It's kind of more controlled. There's less of the raw original history on display like we often see. And this area here would have been the prison, and it is interesting to see it. The only way to get in must have been from above. There must have been a higher level or whatever. And yeah, the internal walls are a lot thinner than the external walls, as we've seen by the thickness of this. But also it's interesting the way this opening is here. Again, it's a little narrow opening going into this chamber, which is strange. So I'm not sure if it was like a defensive thing where you would squeeze into this and then defend the castle, and if anything was shot in, it would be easy to, it wouldn't come all the way in. I mean, yeah, they say this is the wine cellar. That would have been a main building back in the day for them to get a wee drink with their main meals. There must have been a great hall somewhere within the castle. You can imagine them sitting, eating a big feed and then drinking their wine. Think what they may have been speaking about. Think of the crack back in the day. It's so special to remember it with these videos. Like I say, each castle's got a different character, or there's less or more of it left depending on what you're looking at. Today it's been the story of Kindrochit Castle here in the heart of Braemar. which is in the Scottish Highlands here. Look, the highest hills in the distance are way up. This is kind of set within this mad hillscape that we saw on the map earlier in the video. And it is cool to have these short videos as well, like documenting the details of this. Obviously this site, first of all, constructed in just after the year 1000 basically. And just think that's like more than 1,000 years ago now. And then to be built in the 1300s, just think when these stones were put in, or when they first decided to actually put that wall there. 14th century Scottish castle, and even those little holes that lead through the wall, that's an interesting thing to see as well, to see what they did. Whoa, a little rabbit just was right there, a little brown rabbit. Look, it looks like a pet rabbit. That must be what you get up here in the Highlands, kind of natural brown rabbits though, because they're all grey down with us. Look, there's a wee church over there and it's got the most incredible tower with stained glass windows. When we were driving towards Braemar, we could see the spire of this other church. Looks more of a Victorian built construction. Just incredible architecture though, that it's hardly seen. And I just love to come around and see it on these videos.
See where the bell is on the side of the building?
Yeah, the bell's got its own little post that kind of sticks out the side. It's almost like something's been built here at a certain time.
I don't know if this might have been the entrance.
Yeah, it looks like this has been demolished and devastated though at a certain time. Maybe a battle, maybe by a cannon or whatever back in the ancient times. I don't know if it was used as like a bit of a stronghold as well.
So across the other river
There's
there, the castle that came all the way out.
Yeah, the river comes right down the back, like we saw from the aerial photograph. Well, I call it an aerial photograph. This picture here, which is like an artist's rendition of how it looked. When you see this burn here, coming around the back of the site, that's clearly that there, which leads all the way down the back. That's interesting to get that. We've kind of had a poke about and a look around and to see how it would have looked and then how it looks now. You can really get that aspect. What a crazy bit of Scottish history once again, folks. Anyway, it's been a shorter video today, but it's been something cool. I'm going to end this one here before we walk back through the busy touristy streets here of Braemar. Yeah, if you want to see the next one, tune in again soon. I'm ending this one here. Thanks very much for watching. Goodbye from me. Goodbye from Highlander. We'll see you soon with the next one, wherever we end up going.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I've been feeling weird, I can't seem to focus good enough. Nothing's really clear, sometimes it could be a little tough. I just need to feel like the end's in sight for me, but let's be really real, anxiety can foggy all this stuff. I've been feeling weird, I can't seem to focus good enough. Nothing's really clear, sometimes it could be a little tough. I just need to feel like the end's in sight for me, but let's be really real, anxiety can foggy all this stuff.
It sucks when you finally feel like giving up, oh God.